Today marks the 2-year anniversary of My Hero One's Justice 2, a game that's at the very least very polarizing amongst anime fans. On one hand, it's yet another arena fighter for a popular anime series, but one that a lot of people have called clunky, floaty, and unpleasant gameplay-wise, paired with a story mode that's very underwhelming to say the least, and graphics that looked a bit dated even back when it came out. On the other hand, it's got a good-sized roster where every character plays in a very unique way, has the best netcode we've ever seen in an arena fighter, and now that the developer Viking is moving on to a different genre with My Hero Academia Ultra Rumble, it's time to look back and see if that's a good move. Leaving behind the legacy of One's Justice could be a major loss for arena fighters. 2 years have passed since its release, so it's time to look back and look at what this game has achieved. How well was it supported and what lessons can we take from it? Man, what a great idea for a video. I should subscribe to this channel. Oh wait, I can't subscribe because it is my own channel? What a bummer. I wish I could subscribe for more anime games content. Oh well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? One's Justice 2 made a lot of changes to the basic combat system from the first game to the second. These changes, while subtle to a casual player, would be massive for those who would later spend hours and hours trying to master its systems. Two big changes pop to mind: the addition of sidesteps and infinite dash cancels for as long as you have meter. These two small changes made the game way crazier than before, something that's usually very exciting when a fighting game sequel comes out. But in this case, those two changes were responsible for a lot of issues this game would have in the future. And the issues started immediately with the Mirio Infinite combo. 3 attacks into sidestep, rinse and repeat. Mirio was an easy S tier simply because he had this combo. Eventually this got fixed with the first patch the game received, but this would only be the first of many infinite combos. Infinite combos that were often possible because of the new sidestep mechanic. That said, sidestep was necessary because from the first to the second game, offensive play was massively buffed. Instead of characters only having one dash cancel per combo, they can now dash cancel as many times as they want at the cost of meter. This obviously led to bigger, more damaging combos, but the biggest change in my opinion was to pressure. In the first One's Justice, some characters could dash cancel on block. It was something that would distinguish those characters, make them more unique. Not everyone could do it though, which made it easier to balance. In this game they said screw it, everyone can dash cancel on block. And that completely changed the way pressure works. To the point that you need defensive options like the guard cancel, which was a good addition in my opinion, but also something for when you have no meter, and that something is the sidestep. If you can find a small gap, a small opening, sidestep takes you out of that pressure situation, and on paper that sounds fine, but in practice it just led to a lot of broken combos like this. So at a very basic level, I actually like the original One's Justice combat systems a lot more than One's Justice 2. I praised One's Justice multiple times for being a slower arena fighter where your moves are a bit more deliberate, where you have to commit to your options. And these changes made the game a bit more like other arena fighters, making them a bit more mashy. Even at higher levels, sidestepping out of pressure and mashing the attack button can still be a viable option. And I think that took some of the strategy away from the game for sure. So it didn't have a great start, but I was still enjoying the game for sure. Mostly because the sequel brought a lot of new characters. And we'll definitely talk about how unique all of these characters are, but it made me wish that these characters were just playable with the One's Justice basic systems. That said, the biggest problem the first One's Justice had was the lack of support. After releasing the Endeavor DLC, the game saw no more patches, and it became quite stale. So how did the developers change regarding their long-time support, and was it any good? Well, it was way better than before, I think we can all agree on that. 2 years later and the game is still getting updated. It's still patched every 2 to 3 months, with a new DLC character being added, and with every DLC there's also a major balance patch that affects most of the roster. This support sounds awesome, and it is partially awesome. Thanks to the character variety in One's Justice 2, the DLC they release is incredible. This is one of the best developers out there adding characters to an arena fighter for sure, as every character brings something new and unique to the game without fail. Even back when they released Tetsu, who in the show is pretty much a copy of Kirishima, they made him play in a completely different way. They could have gotten away with not being as original with making a character that's more similar to Kirishima, but no, they went above and beyond to create something new, to give people a reason reason to pick that character over Kirishima or vice versa, where most arena fighters would have probably just made a glorified skin. The one that blew my mind the most was definitely Shinso. Never in any kind of fighting game had I ever seen a character that countered the opponent's voice lines. If anyone stepped into Shinso's bubble with a move that had a voice line, they would get stunned. A never-before-seen mechanic not only in arena fighters but fighting games as a whole. Their creativity when making gimmicks and new movesets is unparalleled in this space. Unfortunately, that creativity also comes at a price. Let's talk about the biggest issue with these updates: balance. Shinso, for as creative as the character was, released completely broken. Turns out, characters in this game like to speak a lot, even when simply getting up from a combo, which made Shinso too powerful, as he could pretty much guarantee another combo as soon as he finished one. Shinso is but an example out of dozens of horrible balance decisions. Big broken things would usually get fixed, only for two other things to get broken afterwards. I remember saying Gran Torino was the best character in the game, and I made a video explaining why that was the case, so the next patch comes out and a lot of Gran Torino's broken stuff got fixed. But they also did a small buff that made the character even more powerful than before. That small line in the patch notes gave the character better loops than he ever had before. Uraraka, same thing, in the same patch. She used to have loops, they removed those loops, but then missed the jumping attack recovery, so she could just do this forever. And this is a great example of how this game gets patched. It feels like they are listening, they are nerfing the problem things, but they have no idea how those fixes are gonna break everything else. And what's funny is that the community usually finds these issues within a day or a week of the patch being released. It's not something that takes us months to discover, something that could easily slip through the cracks of development. No, these are things that should come up in testing whenever you make these changes. They did get better with patching recently. They haven't broken anything major as far as I know. They did release Present Mike, who for some reason, if you play him online without a hat, his hair will make the game laggier. That's right, Present Mike has lag hair. And this is one of the reasons why I really respect the Remixed community. Once Justice Remixed is a PC mod where the community balanced the entire roster. With the limited tools they have, and they're doing this for free, they revisit all of these characters, adjust their moves so they're more consistent, so the walls don't break combos as often. And what's really cool is that they actually don't focus too hard on nerfing characters. We as a community definitely look at the broken stuff and call for nerfs. Maybe a bit too much. I'm guilty of this as well. But what's so cool about Remix is that it also focuses on buffing weak characters. Characters that we don't see in competitive very often are totally viable in Remixed. In fact, if you have My Hero 1's Justice on PC, I'll leave you guys a link to the Remixed Discord server down below so you can try it for yourself. But Remixed isn't good in spite of 1's Justice 2. It is good because of it. 1's Justice has a great foundation, one that sometimes I stop to look at and I think, how did something like this fly under so many people's radar? How come this game isn't as popular as something like Storm? And then I remember all the issues we just talked about. But there's a lot of good this game does that even bigger games like Storm never did. First of all, the character variety. If you look at this roster, it looks like another arena fighter. And it's not until you try 2 random characters, any of them, that you'll be able to tell how different everyone plays. It takes a fighting game approach to character movesets in an arena fighter, where the most important thing for each character is for them to have their own gameplay identity. Even if you have to go absolutely crazy with a new mechanic, that's never stopped them before. And sure, you have your character archetypes, but even characters that share those same archetypes play completely different. And if you keep that in mind, the number of characters in this roster is actually super impressive. Next, the netcode. I haven't played an arena fighter with good netcode yet. Kill La Kill If was okay, it was close, but My Hero is on a league of its own. The game's online is phenomenal, so much so that every online tournament is held worldwide. When the distance is a lot, you can definitely feel some delay, but only on connections that wouldn't even work in other fighting games. And they achieve this without rollback. I don't know what they're doing. It's pure wizardry. Now sure, the online is missing a few key features. It doesn't have a proper ranked system. Lobbies break once in a while. It's got no spectator mode either. So like all things My Hero, it feels like they've done the hard bit, which is to create a good netcode for an arena fighter. Something that was unprecedented as far as I know. But then they don't do the basic stuff that every other online game has done in the past. But if there's something to take away from this video and from My Hero 1 Justice 2 is that we don't have a lot of good arena fighters. We have a lot of them, but not many of them are good. So I'm actually saddened that this might be the last One's Justice game. If Viking is moving on to a different concept, this season of DLC might be it. Even if I wasn't a fan of the system changes from the original game to the sequel, even if every patch the devs fixed one thing and broke two others, it was always a game that was so close, which is way more than most arena fighters ever do. And you can dismiss the whole genre, say that these games are trash, they're never balanced, they're cash grabs for casuals, but there's a chicken and egg situation here. The fighting game community doesn't take these games seriously because they're not balanced, and the devs balancing this game are not gonna do it for this audience because this audience is not interested. That's not who they're selling their game to. Which is why part of my mission has been to reward these games that are so close to breaking into that space by promoting their competitive scenes, showing everyone that real competition is possible when an arena fighter is done well. It's baby steps for this genre, and One's Justice 2 was definitely a big step in the right direction, proving that you can do good netcode in arena fighters, proving that you can have a big roster of characters and still have each character play in a unique way, proving that you can have long-term support and keep an active community even with all the issues that support had. And we'll still come back for the last two DLC characters of One's Justice 2, but if this is the end of the road, I want to say thank you. Thank you, One's Justice, for all you have accomplished so far, and I hope other games in the genre are looking at what you did and learn from it, because there's a lot that you can teach them. Happy birthday, One's Justice 2. 2 years have passed since the game's original release. Has your opinion changed at all since launch? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you next time. Bye!